MMAWeekly.com. We are sitting down with UFC superstar and welterweight Dan Hardy. Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, really good.
Well, you know, the story of the moment, I guess, is, as we were talking about, is the Wolff-Hart. We don't know, it's the onset of Wolff-Hart, correct? We're still not sure if you have it. You just went for a second opinion. Can you fill us in on what's been going on?
Well, I definitely have. WPW, but the problem is I've never had any symptoms, so I've never known about it until this point. And now, basically, what they said in my second opinion is that they would like me to go in so they could go into my heart and study the second heartbeat to see how strong it is and see whether it's potentially a risk for the remainder of my career.
So I know prior you weren't too pumped about the idea.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. I spoke to my doctor back in the UK and he said to leave it. It's something I've never had symptoms, I've never had a problem with. And the idea of somebody going and feeding wires into my heart and stuff, it just doesn't seem like a worthwhile idea to me. You know, I'm perfectly fit and healthy, I've been fighting for my whole life. And I had my first fight when I was 7. And I've had, you know, other than my pro career, I've had about 250 fights. So the fact that I've never felt anything, never had any kind of problems, all the way up until, you know, a 25 fight with GSP, you know, I can't imagine my heart could be pushed to a point where it would be at a risk if it hasn't already.
Well, the UFC doesn't let you fight.
Yeah, but then, you know, that kind of, is it worth the risk for the reward? And for me, it's not.
Is that what we're battling right now?
If that's my only option, then yeah, that's my decision. But I'm speaking with Lorenzo tomorrow. I'm going to go and have a chat with him and see what my options are. And I have other things going on as well that I'm working on. But obviously, being told like I'm not allowed to fight when I've been doing it my whole life is very frustrating. So I'm hoping that there's another way around it without having any kind of surgery.
It's just a matter of, I don't want to say Western versus Eastern medicine, but maybe, I don't want to get too political, but the rules surrounding our FDA and kind of like what is, you know, Dana talked about it with Meniere's. They drilled a hole in his head, then he goes over to Germany, gets some blood spinning, and he's A-okay. Yeah. So one of those things?
It could be. It could be. The problem is I've only had tests in Vegas and California, so I've not really had any other opinions other than speaking to my doctor on the phone. So when I go back to the UK in August, I will probably go and speak to him and see what he recommends. But it just, I always try and trust my own instincts, and it just doesn't feel right to me. You know, the problem is as well, the doctors are also saying that it's not something that they know they can fix for sure. Because if they go into my heart and find the second heartbeat, and it's too close to my regular heartbeat, they can't touch it. So then I might not even be cleared to fight, even if they do the procedure. So I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm perfectly fit and healthy and ready to go. I could fight this weekend, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. How
frustrating is that? I know that's a redundant question. I know you've been asked it 1,000 times, but
it's frustrating, yeah. And the thing is, you know, like I spoke about it in interviews, you know, potentially another 12 or 18 months, and I was looking at doing something else with my career anyway. But that was on my terms. It was different, you know. If it's me saying, okay, this is my last fight and I'm done after this, it's different. But I was training for a fight and I was told I couldn't fight, and that changes the whole thing entirely, you know. Like if I'd have decided my last fight was in Nottingham against Amir, it would have been a great last fight. Hometown, I fought a good guy, I enjoyed the fight. But in my head, I'd not prepared for that to be my last fight. So I'm frustrated. And plus, you know, watched the fights the other night, and I'm pumped to get back in there. I love watching it. I love being a part of it. So it's very frustrating.
So at this point, I don't know. This might be tough. Do you feel one way or the other? Do you have a feeling the way this is going to go?
I really don't. I've not really been given many options. So it seems that the choice might be mine. And if the choice is mine, then the decision's already made.
You're going to fight.
I won't have the procedure to continue fighting, no. But at the same time, I do think that there are ways around it. I'm not giving up hope yet, because, I mean, I did the stress test at the hospital. I broke the record. They can't see an abnormality in my heart. I've never had any symptoms. You know, I can't. No one's given me a good argument, a good reason to do it, other than if you don't, you might not be able to fight again. You know, it's not like the doctor said to me, you have two options. You either have it done because it's affecting your life because of the symptoms, or you have it done because you're afraid of instant death, like cardiac arrest. And A, I've never had any symptoms, so B, my concern of sudden death's not really there. And I could get hit by a truck, I could drop dead from something else entirely. So I don't live my life in fear of dying, you know. The thing is, if it was affecting my life, I would have something done. But if I hadn't have been fighting in California, if the fight had been in Vegas or in wherever else, they wouldn't have known about it because I wouldn't have had the EKG, and I would have carried on fighting as normal, and nothing would have.
Is there a part of you that wishes
it wasn't in California? Yeah. And I was excited because I've always wanted to fight in California. I've cornered there, and I've coached there, and I've lived and trained there, but never fought.
So if you could get away with fighting with Wolff-Hart and no one knowing about it, you would do it?
Yeah. When I found out the fight was cancelled, I even spoke to the UFC about potentially moving it somewhere else. But then it's a liability issue for the UFC because now they're aware of it,
right.
You know.
Well, all right. I don't want. I mean, let's talk about a career retrospective for a little bit. If this is the end, and we're sitting with young man Dan Hardy, and we've got this whole future awaiting. I mean, I know you have plans, but what do you do? What do you do to fill that passion? What do you do to fill that void?
Well, I'm still very active. I'm traveling out to California next week to spend some time with Mac Danzig to help him for his fight. I'm in and around the gym. I'm training tomorrow. I'm doing pads tomorrow. So I'm still very active, and I've been doing gymnastics. I've been doing a lot of yoga. I'm doing a lot of like strength and conditioning stuff and trail running and just whatever. Just staying very active, and I feel good. And the thing is, now I've had some time to not have to dedicate my whole week to martial arts. Now I can start adding a few other things. I actually feel better about my martial arts now. Now I've been doing slightly less of it because I'm not having all that impact on my body, and I can allow myself to recover. So it's kind of a weird spot because I feel better now than I ever have in my career before, and now I potentially can't fight anymore. So I don't know. I mean, you know, I have lots of other things that I want to do. I have lots of traveling I want to do, and I'm writing a lot at the moment. But the physical side of it, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with yet because I have a lot of options.
What about the monetary side of it?
Well, you know, I don't really concern myself about money, to be honest. We don't make a great deal fighting anyway, so it's not really something I've been concerned about. And as it is right now, I have really good sponsors that are supporting me, and you know, Zions have been great, and I've got Venom and Fear the Fighter as well. So I have a good team of sponsors behind me, and I'm starting Wolf Camp soon, so there'll be like a constant video blog going on of what I'm doing and where I am, and because I've got traveling all over the world to do. So if I can make this a constant thing and keep my sponsors on board, or maybe pick up some other sponsors, maybe that'll fund itself. You're
a worldly dude. I don't see in any way how you couldn't be some sort of like, I don't know, global MMA correspondent. I mean, for a lot of people that don't know, you spent months in the Chinese foothills training with monks. I mean, time and time again through your career, if you wanted to do something, or if you found passion in it, you've went out and done it. So
yeah,
passion usually leads the way, right?
Yeah, I don't worry about money. I think it was Alan Watts that was talking about it. He said you should do exactly what you want to do, and the money will come from it, because other people are interested in what you're interested in as well. So I've never really concerned myself with money. I've lived on credit cards. I've lived with no money, and I've had a little money in my account. So yeah, it's whatever. Money comes and goes.
That it does. It's an illusion. There's a great line in Blow. Money isn't real. You just think it is, and whatever.
It's good.
I mean, it's true. It is somewhat of an illusion. That's why when millionaires become billionaires, whatever, they always talk about how they were happiest when they were broke.
Yeah.
There's no real formula to this thing. You just kind of figure it out as you go. And your sponsors are keeping you busy. I do know that, and that's a good thing. It's the fan base. It's mixed martial arts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's a good way of me staying in contact with the fans as well. Yeah. I mean, I've just hit 200,000 on Twitter. I have a good fan base, and a lot of people are interested in what I'm doing because I am doing things that are kind of unusual, and you know, and you know, the sponsors can benefit from that by continuing to use me as well. So it's good. It's exciting. It was just nice to have that support still. You know, this could potentially be a difficult time if I didn't have that.
Well, that's kind of my next question. Have you come to grips with the possibility of this being the end? Have you let that enter your psyche and kind of become part of your day-to-day?
I haven't. I'm trying to be excited about other options, other things that I've got, and you know, I've not had a definite answer that I definitely can't fight again. So I try not to think about it until then. See, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, you know, well, if the UFC say I can't fight anymore and my mixed martial arts career's over, I'll just fly out to Thailand and fight Thai boxing for a little while or something, you know? Or I'll start kendo. I've always fancied kendo, you know?
Rambo 3, Tony, stick fighting. It's awesome.
So you know, there are other things I can do to compete, but obviously the UFC is the pinnacle of martial arts, and I want to be competing against the best guys, so that's the place to be. And for me, my journey in martial arts is not over yet. There are still things that I want to achieve for myself, not necessarily for the belt or anything like that, but things that I want to explore in my potential as a martial artist.
What are some of those things?
Well,
you start channeling like fireballs and stuff?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like Mortal Kombat. Channeling, connecting with the reptilian brain is what I'm really interested in at the moment. Finding a situation where I'm not overthinking what I'm doing. And this is something that Bruce Lee's been talking about since the 70s, and now it's just starting to make sense to me what he was actually talking about. Being present in the moment and during the fight, not thinking, oh, he's doing that, so I should do this or whatever. Just allowing yourself to be a passenger and let instinct take over. And I've been there in fights, I've touched on it in fights, and like the Ludwig fight, when he cracked me in the first minute or so with the right hand, and immediately my brain switched on to instinct. And I remember after the fight thinking, wow, it was quite surreal. Because
just kind of happened.
It's because I got clocked and I was a little bit rocked, and you know. And then so like training and meditating and fighting with the connection to that reptilian brain is something that I'm interested in working on. And
so it sounds like kind of like a holistic view of the pure mixed martial artist.
Yeah.
Reaching the pinnacle of your fighting career. I mean, like you said, belt aside, but what you view a martial artist should be.
Exactly.
You're trying to achieve that.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's this constant overthinking, and you know, you've got coaches in your corner telling you to do different things, and you've got a whole bank of information in your head from probably your 8 or 10 week training camp. And the problem is that you get in there and you've got this guy in front of you that wants to beat you up, and you've got so much stuff going on around in your head that you can't piece things together very well.
But couldn't you take solace that if this was the end, at least you got it in the Ludwig fight?
True, yeah. But it wasn't a conscious thing. That happened because I got cracked, you know what I mean? Bang. And
you want to do it like where you're aware that, okay, I'm going to go in here.
Exactly.
I'm going to stonewall this dude the way, in the purest way I know how.
Yeah. And just allow instinct to take over and just be the predator that the human is, you know?
So we look back, you had a big money fight, or a big view fight in Georges St. Pierre.
Yeah, I've never had a big money fight.
You had a quite memorable fight and a loss that you've said is one of your favorite fights against Chris Lytle. And
yes.
I think for a lot of people, they would agree. Then you have the Sadala fight, then you have the Ludwig fight. When you look back, what are the fights that mean most to you? For what reasons? And maybe ones you wish you would have had back, a fight you never got? Think about like stuff like that.
Okay. Well, the Ludwig fight was a big one for me because that was the end of the losing streak, and that
saved your career for a lot of people. I mean, what were we on losing streak?
4.
Yeah.
I've lost 4.
I remember talking to you after that. That was a big moment for you.
Yeah. GSP, Condit, Anthony Johnson, and then Chris Lytle, and it was kind of that was where I was in a situation where, okay, I might have to accept that my career's over. And then, you know, and it was unfortunate because it was Dwayne, and I liked Dwayne, and, you know, I've always been a fan of his, but that was a big fight for me. I needed that. Obviously, the Sadala fight one was good because it was in Nottingham. But the Chris Lytle fight was frustrating. I mean, it happened how it was supposed to on the night because it was his retirement fight, and I wasn't in a very good space at the time. I didn't have a good team around me, and I was overtrained, and Chris just showed up on form, and we had a great fight, and I got beat up a little bit, and I cracked him with some good shots, but it was his night, and I always think to myself, you know, that'd be a fun fight to do over again if ever there was an opportunity. Obviously Condit, I have no problem with that guy. That was a big turning point for me as well, but that was always a fight I would like to rematch, and Koscheck as well is always high on the list.
And why would that be, though? And also with the Georges St. Pierre loss, it's one of those, and I heard that, I've talked to Jake about this, I've talked to other guys, you know, when you put on an exciting fight against Georges St. Pierre, it's almost like your career's biggest win.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is with that fight, I've been counted out by so many people that it was like, oh, well, he's going to get submitted.
He shouldn't get the shot. What's he done to get it? And,
So the problem is, if I'd have caught him with a Matt Serra punch and knocked him out, I'd have got the same treatment that Matt Serra got, which I thought was quite unfair. You know what I mean? Like, if you knock him out, oh, well, it was a lucky shot, and, you know, it would never happen again. So I would have never, even if I'd have got the belt that night, I would have never been considered the champion because of it, you know? Whereas if I'd have got beat up in the first round, that would have proved everyone right, and you know. So to get beaten up over 25 minutes kind of did a little bit more for my credibility than anything else could have done, to be honest.
Great escape, submission attempts, all that stuff. It was a memorable fight, it really was. So now I gotta ask you, what's your favorite? What's your favorite win? Your favorite moment inside the octagon? We look back and you're just elated. Just the most positive feelings, all-encompassing that you can imagine from that fight.
Wow. Well, the Rory Markham fight was big because that was in London. That was my first knockout in the UFC.
It's a huge knockout too.
Yeah, it was. And he was a big guy. I mean, he came in over 200 pounds and he was a power puncher. And his last fight, he just practically annihilated, I can't remember who it was. Some guy knocked him out with a head kick, knocked him out cold at the palms. I was at the fight.
That was last UFC fight. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So he was coming off that, and I was coming off like a real weird split decision win over Akihiro Gono. So people didn't really like me still, and you know, they thought I'd been gifted a decision because of the Bisping Hamill thing, and that was kind of strange. So that was kind of like, I kind of felt like I'd arrived then. I'm like, okay, I've got my first knockout win in the UFC, and now I can start enjoying myself a little more. That and then the Swick fight as well, because I knew Swick was going to be a tough guy, and he hung in there. I hit him with some good shots which slowed him down, fortunately, but you know, Swick's a tough, fast guy, and at the time he was on a roll. He just moved down from middleweight, and he was supposed to get the title shot, and I beat him in Manchester, England, and I was the first Brit to get a title shot, so that was a big deal. I was on a high for quite a while after that fight, I'll be honest.
Alright, we're going to wrap this up here a little bit, but if you could have 3 fights, they were like, Dan, best case scenario, you got 3 more fights, we're going to give them to you. What 3 fights would you want? Non-title.
That's tough.
And for what reasons? I'd like to hear that too.
Okay, well...
Rematches, anything. Fights you never got.
Yeah. I'd like to... The Matt Brown fight I would like, just because that's kind of unfinished in my head. You know, I trained 8 weeks for that and I was ready for it. I felt good, I knew it was going to be a successful fight, and you know, it kind of leaves you like hanging because I've still got that energy and that intent towards him, and I've never had anything to do with it. So I would like the Matt Brown fight. Koscheck, obviously, just because I hear about his name, I hear it constantly from the fans. Oh, I want to see you fight Koscheck, and I don't particularly like the guy. I mean, I don't think about him on a daily basis. I've not really got that strong of feelings about him, but as far as MMA fighters goes, he's kind of bottom of the barrel for me, and for a lot of people, from what I understand. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of sucky saying Chris Lytle because obviously he's retired and that, but
yeah, but it'd be cool if both of you came off a break and fought for a second. Yeah,
just go at it again. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, they'd be my 3 picks, I think.
I like that. I like that. All right, Dan, we had a good chat today. I want to thank you for the time, and
no worries.
I know the whole MMA world's rooting for you one way or the other, and we'll be following. Best of luck.